Today's video from a channel called Just Pearly Clips. Now, let me just tell you right now, I don't like the channel. I used to like the channel. I used to think she was all right. I think she used to say a lot of truthful things, pertaining to, issues with men and women in the modern era and whatnot. But she's recently come out and show her true colors, and that's that she's an Islamophobe. She's just another one. And that's when I unsubscribed. I stopped listening to her. But the reason I'm showing this is because she has Sneako on here, who's a young man who he kind of pissed me off when I first seen him before he became Muslim. And I've heard him make fun of Muslims or Islam, do silly, stupid things. But he's come along, followed kind of in the steps of Andrew Tate, and he's become Muslim. And I must say that ever since he's done that, he comes off to me as pretty genuine, and that's what I like about him. He seems to keep it pretty real, and I always appreciate that. And that's the only reason I'm showing anything from her channel. All right. So, and this is called Sneako, why he converted to Islam. All right, let's get right to it.
You're kind of reminding me how much of a bad Catholic I am, because I don't even remember the answer to these questions.
I mean, that's what it is. Yeah, you're eating crackers that are his body and you're drinking his blood.
There's more to it. It's like...
That's what it is. I grew up Catholic. I almost got confirmed.
But it's like, that's what Jesus did at the Last Supper, is like, take this...
Jesus ate his own body?
Yeah, sort of.
Weird.
I don't know if it was like...
What type of dude is eating his body?
I mean, well...
Look, she don't even... You could tell she don't even believe it herself. She's just like trying to regurgitate what she's been told her whole life.
I think that's
and he's God at the same time.
That's where the Christians and the Catholic...
And he's calling her out. He used to be a Catholic too. And he's just, he's just showing her how silly the stuff she's saying is.
So the Christians say, oh, that was just a symbol. I'm sorry. The Catholics are going to roast me. I'm a bad Catholic. I don't know what to tell you. But the Catholics believe, like we actually, yeah.
Yeah, well, I grew up Catholic. I get...
And we actually, yeah.
It's the hardcore. There's a lot of division there. But you know that in the Quran, they talk more about Jesus than Muhammad. Jesus is brought up all the time. He's not actually God, though. That's the difference in Catholicism, why it didn't really make sense to me, because how could you be a human and God? Catholics believe that Jesus is God and God is God, but they're the same, like Father, Son. It's like this weird... that doesn't make any sense to me, but in Islam, the reason that I converted is Allah is the one true God. That's the creator of the universe, the creator of everything. Jesus was there to spread his message.
Simplicity. It's very straightforward, very simple. Thank you.
Muhammad was the prophet, and then we are all his people. We are all his creation. And that just makes the most sense to me, because like, what's the best explanation for why the world exists? There must be a creator. But instead of like a human half body eating,
yeah, that is a little confusing.
That's why I like it. It's just there's one creator.
Okay, at least something honest, came out of her. Well, yeah, that is confusing. Yeah, well, why don't you go dig deeper, since it is so confusing, instead of just trying to keep running with it?
And also, they're really strict and on their beliefs on masculinity and femininity, on the differences between men and women, and our roles and what we should be doing. I went to the mosque and I was with some well-respected people in the Islamic community. I don't want to say them. I was with them, and after the first time praying there, you get on the rug and you do all that. And I asked them when we were leaving, I'm like, why are there no women here? Like, I never thought about them before. I was in the mosque and like I never noticed, like, there's no women here. And then I asked him that question. He looked at me like I was stupid. Like, they're at home. They're cooking. Like,
well, let me correct something there. So, let's keep in mind, Sneako he's still learning. He's trying his best, so we can't get too hard on him. So there weren't no women in the area that he was in, because that was the men's area. But every masjid has a woman's area. So it's not like there's no women there. So it's kind of coming off as if there's absolutely no women going to the mosque. because they all home cooking or whatever, cleaning. But that's not the case. So let me just correct that right there.
Why would they? They don't need to. They pray at home. They don't need to be here. It's the men's job to go out and provide and to go and.
And it is true that they don't have to go. A woman does not have to go to the mosque.
They don't. They're not. And I never even realized that they don't. That they're not there, because the division between men and women is extremely important, respected, and it's ingrained in the culture. But that's not the same in any of these other religions.
That's true. In a lot of Christian, and I would say in Catholic religions, the women are leading relationships.
They're in charge.
Yeah.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah. What's the other one? She wears the pants. I mean, I heard that all the time growing up. She wears the pants in a relationship. Like, there were so many couples that I can point to and say, yeah, that's...
And they'd be like, oh, she gotta ask the wife. She wears the pants. And they're, oh, yeah, the wife. It's just, wow.
Well, it's like in America, and I'll say, like, I think this definitely affected me. It's like men and women are kind of raised the same. And they don't really talk about our differences. And even, like, being in sports, that's like a typically like male dominated, like, men are better at sports, right? And
really? No.
Well, now we got in more leagues.
Oh, no.
Get them out. Get them out.
Good thing you got out of volleyball. Now you'd be destroyed by Dylan Mulvaney. Actually, I think you could beat him up. I think you got it.
I actually rejoined the team after I told you I quit.
Hey.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll see. But what I realized is, like, a lot of times, like, the women in sports are a little bit more masculine because we're kind of like being trained and raised.
It's competitive.
Athletic, yeah. And that's what I realized. Like, I think women, like, we are happier when they push our differences. But the thing is, in America, they act like we're exactly the same.
Why not do that? The big wake-up call was going to Japan and seeing, and you have to go. You have to go just to see how the women act. Because this is a big part of your show, and I think it will give you a new perspective. The women there don't have a drop of testosterone in their body. Like, they just the way that they smile, the way that they talk to you, how high pitched their voice is. It's like, whoa, and it's just so nice. It's just so soothing and pleasant. Like, you order something, oh, okay, and you're like, oh, and you just want to protect them. Just naturally, you feel more like a man because you want to protect and you want to provide for her. You just want to create that nice environment for this beautiful.
And I think that's a great point. A woman being feminine does kind of bring out the masculine in you. It's just the way it's supposed to be. And it's just a natural thing. And it is a breath of fresh air, especially when you see what you got to deal with in a lot of cases over here.
Beautiful feminine woman. And then you realize there, like, the amount of bullshit that you need to put up with these women in America and London, how combative they are and how hard it is for them to submit. Like, it's not in their nature. Everything in the culture is steering them away from being feminine. It's like no, it's just the Cardi B thing. You need to be the tip top guy in order to make a woman submit. But women are happy to just do that in Japan. The way that they dress, they're dressed way more girly, and not in like an overly sexual way. None of them have their cleavage out. They're always they're not showing too much like skin. They're dressed extremely girly with their dresses and their fingernails, and like some of them walk around with cat ears because it's goofy. And you see there, like, why am I putting up with women who want to be men at the same time when you could just go to a different place and find an actually feminine woman?
That's right.
You understand why so many guys are just giving up.
Yeah.
You get it. Like, and even now the guys who are becoming women in the West, like, they just want, you see the types of guys that they want, and they're like, yeah, I just need a stud, like I need an ultra. They just want to get fucked. They just want someone else to take control. It's relinquishing control because it's so hard to be in control when it's a constant battle. But they want someone else to take control and just let the work, I give up. It's just giving up. It's not feeling like a woman. It's just like,
no,
I hate this.
And I think it's even good for American women to see it because it gives us an example, which a lot of women in the West don't have. Like, what feminine women examples do we have in media? What feminine, like, even most...
Ariana Grande, I think is a pretty good example. There's very few. Wait,
She does. I mean, I don't really get the. I don't know much about her.
There's very few. There's very few. But the way she acts, she kind of acts and everything. Like she covers her wrist. She's like, hee. Yeah. She kind of acts like that.
I just mean like women that are truly traditional with like traditional skills. We had a girl that taught an episode of Wife School, and she was like teaching me like cooking basically, right? And I was so inspired just being around her, to be just spending a day with her, because she was just so like the most feminine woman I've ever met in my life. And I think that like in the West, a lot of times, especially people from single parent homes, they've never met someone like that.
And it's not all the women. It's not their fault either. A lot of the time, it's the weak men. Like women can't be in their feminine nature if they're around a bunch of.
But why are the men weak?
Because the women are masculinized too. It's when you act like there's no division, when you separate the idea that we're different.
I have a different take.
What's your take?
So my take is it's the government, because of the way that relationships are set up by the government, and I think that's why. So if me and you are in a contract, right? If we're married, right? And I get paid to walk away, and you lose everything by walking away, you're always going to be trying to make me happy so I don't walk away. I think that influences relationships. And I think that's the shift where you see in relationships where women started like wearing the pants.
Yeah, we don't disagree, but there's many factors.
She does have a point there, I have to say.
Like that's a major factor. The music that we listen to.
The media.
It's everything. It's just Western culture. It's all of it. There's the separate, like not having any identity. People are always arguing, and the beliefs that we have, everything is steering us in that direction.
So my other question too is, you mentioned Japan. Why are the women still so unmarried and single there? I know it's a big problem. So it's like,
is that a true stat? What are the stats on that?
I don't. You may look it up. I can.
Sure.
Okay, but it's like.
There's a lot of single women in Japan.
Yeah, and
I heard that. I didn't see that. When I went there, I heard a lot of rumors about Japan. Like they talked about how creepy it was. Like one thing that people hear is that they sell girls' panties in vending machines. I didn't see that. They talked about how many how creepy guys are on the train. I didn't see. I was on the train every single day. There wasn't any creepy stuff like that. And you actually will see it in New York. You'll see people smoking on the train and taking a piss in the corner. But Japan is not like that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool hearing Sneako, and because we're catching him in the early stages of his journey. In the early days of him being a Muslim, he doesn't hesitate to defend Islam, and he sticks to what he knows or what he believes he knows, and he tries his best, and he owns up to whatever flaws he may have. I just like how real the brother is, and I'm happy that he's Muslim, and he does have a pretty big following, similar to brother Andrew Tate, who obviously has a bigger following. These are brothers that are new in their journey, so they don't always say the right thing, but you can see that they're trying, and you can see they keep it real. They're true to themselves. They don't hesitate to admit their own flaws and admit what they don't know. And, I definitely appreciate that, but they definitely always defending Islam. And if you come with some nonsense, they'll tell you. And I definitely appreciate that, love that, So I'm going to leave it right there until the next one, inshallah.